and welcome to today's video where we will be making a Quagsire plushie. Quagsire is one of my favorite Pokemon and I'm excited to make him, and the pattern will be linked in the description. Any tips are appreciated. So let's jump in. So first off, we have the paper pattern, and it comes with seam allowance, a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but I don't really use the seam allowance. I prefer to just trace the stitch lines exactly, so I just cut that off, but you can leave it on. And so you see I just trace the lines and the little notches too, and then I just cut the allowance in like as I'm cutting out the piece. So like the tail, this is the tail, and I leave this space because I'm just going to fold it and sew this dart, and I'll cut off the excess later. So let's get started with sewing. And to sew the arm, it's going to be folded over like this, and there's a little notch right here, and that's where this point is going to match up to. And then you can just sew all the way around. Okay, I have my arms. I'll turn this one right side out. Okay, I have my arms. Now this is the body piece and it goes on the fold. So I just drew a line down the middle because instead of cutting right on the fold, I just traced one piece, flipped it right over, traced the other piece. And so the arms are going to go in here. And I actually forgot to draw the little notches on here, so hang on a second. So what I do is I have the arm, just put it right on top there, and I'll have the side with the seam facing up towards the head. And then you can just kind of tuck this in and flip it around, and that will give you a pretty good position. And then I have a notch on the arm and a notch on the body, the armhole, and I'll just line those up. That's the top. And there's also one on the bottom. And then you can just pin the rest of the arm into the hole, or you can sew it by hand, which is probably easier to do. Okay, so I attached the arms, and I'm going to sew this dart right here, and then that will be the front of the body done. Now there is the detail on his back, and it does fit in my hoop diagonally, so I'm embroidering it on my machine. The pattern does come with this, and it's an applique file, so you would just put the purple down and do the top stitch, cut it out, and then do the zigzag stitch. After the embroidery is done, I just use my paper pattern as a guide to trace the piece. Now for the spines, take a piece of fleece or felt and pin the paper pattern to it. I didn't trace because the color's too dark, so I just pin it down and cut around it. So this is the bottom of the tail, and this dart will just be sewn. This is the top of the tail, and on the top of the tail you have these little ridges that go in between. So I'm just gonna go ahead and line those up. And so it will go all the way to the bottom. And then this will just go right on top. And it's gonna be sewn like this, all the way on one side. This is the back of the body, which is now embroidered with the detail piece. And if you don't have an embroidery machine or you don't have a 5x7 hoop, you can also applique this by hand or on a regular sewing machine, or you can also color block it if you're brave enough to do all of these curves. But yeah, so for the back I have another one of these little squiggly pieces, and that's also going to go in between the seams. Just get it lined up here, and then this will just go right on top and be sewn all the way down here, and also this part here. And this is the body. I sewed it up, and it's kind of tricky to do with 3 layers. As you can see, I messed mine up a bit, but you try to line up these lines up here, make sure they're even with each other, and down here too. Yeah, I didn't quite get it, but it's okay. And so when you do the head, try to also line up the mouth. It's a little tough sometimes because the embroidery is a little bit slippery, so you might have to go at it a couple times. But when it's lined up nicely, it looks really good. And so here is the tail. It's the bottom. This is the top. And I'll also be lining those up to sew right sides together. Just all the way around. I'll leave this part open because it will attach to the back. So here's the tail. It's all sewn up now. And you see the back of the body has this hole, and that's where the tail is gonna go. So I'm just going to kind of line it up with the blue, the dark blue spine here. And then it's gonna be sewn right sides together. So I flip the body over. And I want to avoid sewing this spine like into the seam itself. So I'm probably just gonna kind of stitch it together. Just because this is like 1 layer, so, but if you have 2 layers, you can just like stitch it together, like right sides together, and then turn it right side out and then put it in, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is just like, I just did 1 layer of fleece because I'm kind of lazy. So I'm just going to kind of stitch it together a little bit, and it's not like it has to be pretty because it's going to be on the back, and I'm just gonna have this on my shelf or something. So I'm not like, needs to be perfect, but just so it kind of doesn't go into the seam and it kind of at least is closed and somewhat finished. This is me being kind of lazy, but it's okay. So now I can sew this together and keep that spine out of there. Now I have my back with the tail finished. I'm gonna put that aside for now. We have our head piece here, and that has a dart. So we're gonna need to sew the dart. Here is the head with the dart sewn. I'm just going to put those right sides together and sew right up to the top. You can also sew the face on using embroidery floss and use safety eyes too. This is from a different video, but it's just showing how you can use embroidery floss to make the mouth. Okay, here's my front of the body. The dart is sewn up now. And so all we have to do is add the face. I have sewn the face together so it opens like this. And I will just put it right sides together with the top of the body, the front of the body. And it will sew right across here. Alright, here is my front body all finished. And now I have my back body as well, all finished. And so the two halves can come together. Just line them up, right sides facing together. So the top seam, of course, will match up. Bottom seam match up, and then these holes is where the feet will go, and you need to leave a space for stuffing, so I think I will do the side here. So I'll go and do that. This is the foot. I cut out a little hole, and then I just pretty much grab another piece of fabric, like a scrap piece or something, and I just put that right on top, sew all the way around, and then cut off the excess. Okay, I have my 2 feet, and yeah, I just sewed it on the scrap fabric there, and I'm just going to cut off the excess. And now here are the holes where the feet are gonna go. And so I actually, for this hole too, I cut little notches in the seam allowance so that I can kind of stretch it a little more and help make it fit in this hole. And so you could do it like this, where you just align it right sides together and sew around, but I think that's kind of difficult to do, so I tend to just put it in here and then sew it that way. So I don't know if you can tell, but here's the foot, right? And then it just goes lined up right with the hole here. And you can just go all the way around by hand. Also, I changed my mind about where to put the hole, because I kind of wasn't sure if I could keep the integrity of the curve here. And I figured it would also be easier to stuff from the bottom going up. So I have the hole right here, sort of closer to the face. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, feet are on and he's almost done. Just gotta turn him right side out now. So let's start getting him into the light. Okay, so he's all stuffed, and now we're just gonna close him up with a ladder stitch. You'll be folding these edges over a bit, and we'll just do a ladder motion. So it's right across, and then right across. And as you go, you can just pull it closed. Now one more finishing touch you can do is add fingers and toes. Before I do that, I'm just going to brush out the fur in between the seams because this Minky is a little longer. He's kind of fluffy, so I want him to just have the seams picked first before I go adding details. Alright, now I'm going to put my needle in, and I'm just gonna anchor it in place just so it doesn't pop out when I go to pull it, because what I'm gonna do now is I'll do a little tiny stitch in the seam there just so it doesn't move around so much, and then I'm gonna come back through the top through where I went in first, and you're just gonna tug gently until you get the desired shape. You get a little bit of like an indent there. And I just double knot, and then what I do is just go right in here to like the next fingers, so to speak, and I just knot it again. And this is just kind of saves me a few seconds with, you know, not having to cut the thread and then knot it again and do all that. So just going again through where I came in, slight tug, and just doing the double knot. And now he's got 2 fingers on his hand, And we'll just do the same thing with the feet and the other arm, and then he'll be done. And with that, he's all finished. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you are making yourself your own Quagsire plushie. And like I said, the pattern will be in the description. It's free to download, or you can leave a tip, which I really appreciate. You can also check out some other patterns on my website, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.